array that happens to be empty, okay? So what does this look like? It looks something like this. So suppose n equals 10, then we have allocated, after this thing, we speak of it allocating an array which has 10 slots in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And initially, I think technically it's 0 inside by default, but if we assign this, this would go in the first slot. Just replacing it in the first slot here. That's what that means. It's putting it in slot 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Okay. If we had this, we'd be allocating an array that looks like this. 1, 1, 2, 3, and 9, 32. So we could look up item 0, be 1, 1, 2, 3. We could look up item 1 at index 1, 9, 32. Okay. Or we could have something like this. This is an array that contains references to strings. Why reference? Because string is a class, and you don't contain the things in the class, you contain references to these things. So here, the first element is a reference to a string that has the word Bangor in it. Maybe it has other properties, I don't know. But it does its job, and this is functionally what it contains. I can ask for it, printed out. So second one is Bangor, and the third is with appropriate size is Muslim Migunte. Okay, so let's talk about Java arrays of this sort. What are the pros and cons here? Pros are that you can easily specify the initial contents. I mean, this is very, very practical. You could easily do something like this or do something like this. It just, you don't have to go one by one and then say what they are, list, and you could just directly allocate it like this. There's a special syntax for specifying the contents, or like this. And this sort of automatically puts them in there, it sizes it appropriately, does all that sort of good work, which is, hey, it's a convenience to do things fairly quickly. It's simple syntax. Don't worry much about this, but basically it can contain ints. It can actually contain, the value, or it could have a reference to a string, or a reference to an integer with a capital I, which would actually be a class, an object with a class integer, which would have a reference from you. It might have the value too. But it's nicer to be able to put this in here. It takes less in the way of memory. Okay. So that's something you don't have to worry about that much. But if you've ever wondered about int versus integer, this is just, you deal with references to these guys, whereas this thing is actually the actual value itself. Okay. You can convert between them very completely straightforwardly. That's a fast lookup. All you have to do, you want to look it up, this element, that element, you could do it very, very quickly. You can iterate